I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Republican strategist and former state communications director for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Brittany Martinez. Brittany, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me back.
We are sitting here about 12 hours from the end of a historic night, first meeting and first debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. First, what are your takeaways?
You know, I think last night was really interesting. I think that ultimately what the debate is going to be is sort of how it made you feel, because we didn't really get into the policy. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that she did far superior than him. And I'm a Republican. I want Republicans to do well. But I think it was a stark contrast between the two.
Let's talk about that, because there were a lot of policy questions, but questions that she might not want to have answered. She did a really good job of pivoting away from them. She would say something in the middle of that answer to kind of goad Trump. And it seemed like a lot of the time he would take the bait and he would get off topic. Do you think, A, we got a good sense of policy from either candidate last night? And B, how much does that matter to voters?
I think policy is always important. I mean, it's a debate, so it's never supposed to really be too much in the weeds unless it's like about a specific topic area or issue area. People care, but you know, and you're not going to say, I'm going to divert X amount of funds from this legislation to cover the cost of this, and right, like it's generally more top line. But I think we're in the post-Labor Day stretch. People are starting to pay attention, and you're right. I mean, the very first question out the gate for the vice president was, is the economy better than it was 4 years ago? And she gave a very roundabout answer and didn't say yes or no. The same can be said about the former President Trump when he was asked about Ukraine and whether we should be supporting Ukraine and if we want them to win in the war against Russia. And there wasn't very much a straight answer there. So I think people are starting to pay attention, definitely.
Do you think President Trump effectively tied Vice President Kamala Harris to the Biden administration, to those weak spots that President Biden felt in his campaign, like immigration, like the economy, like inflation?
I definitely think that there is an argument to be made that obviously that whatever the president has done, President Biden is also a reflection of Vice President Harris. And yes, I mean, I think the economy is a top issue for Americans everywhere. And so you're able to bring that home and hammer that point home, that why hasn't it gotten better under the vice president? Why are we waiting until after the election, if you are to become president, to be able to fix all of these things? So yes, I do think that he did make some fair points of, well, you're in a position right now of power to make these changes, but you haven't. So why would you be able to do so? But then also, she is the vice president, not the president. So though, of course, she is at the top of the helm in American politics, she is not the president of the United States. So there's obviously an argument to be made on that side too.